Oh, is it still or video?
We'll do video, but let me just take you through.
Okay. If I'm not fine, in that picture, thank you, darling. You see, I called you darling. All right, okay.
I'm trying to get this.
A very good morning to you. It's Women Voices on Rhythm 94.7 FM Abuja. I am Atinoke Noke. We'll go straight to the point after I introduce my guest and, of course, my co-host, Zara Abdulkabir. You expecting me not to get it right? Okay, and Jemima Iyang Udo. How are you doing? I got that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, so you're very much welcome to the show.
Thank
Today,
you so much.
we're delving into a topic we have never, ever spoken about this, although we're always talking about gender-based violence and all of that, but we haven't taken it online. So that is where we'll be delving to today. Thanks to Paul Owi, for, giving us resource persons this past few weeks and then taking us to the parts that we've not talked about before. If you check something over the years when you post online, you'll notice that there's been cyberbully, and this cyberbully is usually tilted towards women. If a woman is abused and then she takes it online, maybe it's the way she dressed. Who knows? Maybe it's something they will always fault her for, or they always victim blame her. Then if, for example, she's successful, you notice that a lot of women will start explaining, I worked hard for this, I got it myself. Because the internet has been so toxic that they have to start explaining themselves. So I am like, for me who is thick-skinned, I always tell people, I do not need to explain anything, think whatsoever. But there are a lot of women who have become internet antisocial because of this cyberbullying. They are afraid to, express themselves. They're afraid to celebrate their wins because they will be faulted. If they celebrate their wins, they will be faulted. If they don't celebrate their wins, they'll still be faulted. Okay, so I have Jemima Iyang Udo, who is the communications officer for TechHer NG. So she'll be talking about online-based violence. So I would want you, we're always talking about gender-based violence and all of that. So I want you to, let people know, people who do not really know, why online-based violence? Why are you beaming your search on online-based violence? And why people should know about online-based violence?
All right. Thank you so much, Atinike, for that lovely introduction. SGBV, that is sexual and gender-based violence, is a very, very wide spectrum which online gender-based violence is part of. Online gender-based violence is any form of abuse, harassment, or discrimination that happens to a targeted person on a digital sphere because of their gender or because of their sexual identity. Now, online gender-based violence is bigger than we think. People always say, oh, it's just happening online. Why don't you just mute them, block them, or delete them?
Yes.
But the problem with this kind of violence is that it is very easy for it to slip into reality. Take, for example, Diadem. Diadem is a social media personality.
Okay.
She had been experiencing a severe case of cyber stalking. So this person was on her social media, stalking her, telling her how much he wants her, how he wants to marry her, and how much he loves her. She has blocked, she has deleted, she had muted him on the various accounts that he had created. But guess what? This person appeared at her place of work. This person appeared at her church. This person appeared at her house. And in fact, he appeared at her business and she called the police on him. He was arrested more than once. He was even beaten. And then he came to her house, which was very terrible. I think that was the first time I saw the video of this person. So he came to her house and it was really, really awful. Only for her to think it was over. And then he appeared at her church, which was very, very awful. So online gender-based violence might seem like a small thing, like just a little thing that happens somewhere, but it's actually quite big. Most recently, 2 boys in Nigeria were extradited to the US and are going to be convicted because they had engaged in a form of violence called sextortion. They had catfished someone, pretended to be a woman, collected this boy's news, a very, very young boy, and then they started threatening him to post his nudes, and they were going to, if he doesn't pay them. So he was tired of paying them, and he committed suicide.
Oh.
So we see that online gender-based violence has a very big issue. But another thing that we have noticed that this kinds of problem predominantly affects women. Now we might say, oh, it's not that serious, it doesn't happen all the time. But I'll give a very practical and a recent example. Now, there was a ruckus that happened online about the amount of dignitaries that were taken to Dubai for the COP28, right? And there were a lot of names there, but a particular social media personality was there on that list, and we saw how people reacted to that person. There was a lot of harassment and trolling towards this person. They found the name of one woman, and people called her prostitute. People called her item 7, and people called her very degrading names. Now, we do not even consider the psychology of this person when we say these things. And one of the interesting parts of OGBV is people maximize the anonymity of social media or other digital platforms to be able to say these awful things that they say. Things that they will never be able to say to you in real life. If you meet a woman, would you be able to call her item 7? If you meet a woman driving a big car, and would you be able to say, oh, you're a prostitute and that's how you got that car? Well, let that woman post that car online. She has to defend herself, like you said. She has to defend her resources. She has to defend, how she got the money.
Yes.
And all of, you hear women say, oh, my daddy, there's this trend that says, nah, my mama, they feed me. And it came because a lot of people keep assuming that when women live comfortable lifestyles or what they think is a lavish lifestyle, these women are doing it because they are engaging in experiences that are not legal. And I think that this is quite terrible. Online gender-based violence is becoming even bigger than we think, even with the increase in revenge porn. And I think that these are issues that need to be spoken about or addressed.
Okay, Zara.
Okay, like you mentioned, you have little or no control over the comments you get on your post online and people that will react to whatever you post on social media. So from your own perspective, how do you think one can manage or avoid this sort of scenario? Or how do you avoid it? How do you manage it?
So one of the things I had seen online was a toolkit to help people learn how to learn about different forms of online gender-based violence and how to avoid them. But you can never totally avoid it as much as you try because it's online. They say it's just your phone. If you turn off your phone, it's the troll or the person who is bullying you will disappear. But it's a psychological impact to it or aspect to it rather. So you can try to mute, to never see that person's post again. You can try to block them so that they also do not have access to you as you do not have access to them. And for places like Instagram, you can also delete some of those harmful posts. How I choose to handle these things is I try to report as much as possible. And that's also what I advise people to do. Because when you report, it gives the platform owners data to be able to address these issues from their end as well. Because if there are reports of cyberbullying or someone sending you non-solicited nudes, then when you report, it gives the platform owners data to be able to create policies to be able to adjust to make sure these kinds of things do not happen again. So I really advocate for reporting, blocking, muting, and deleting. That is one of the easiest ways to be able to avoid this if it does not escalate into your reality. So that's how I do that.
All right, okay, let's go to reporting, because I know I've had cases where I had to report online, but the reporting has to do with the social media platform. I just go click the report button. Most of the social media platforms, including WhatsApp, they just have this automatic report button. Then they give you a feedback and say, this thing doesn't contain so much violence. We have taken, this kind of computer-based responses. Yes. So for me, you give an example of someone who is being trolled, stalled, and all of that, and sextortion.
Yes.
So how do I, how do I know where to report, or how do I know what to report or who to report to? I want a situation where I would report and it would, be taken seriously. Like we say, we have a Kitty and Lagos, they have helplines where you can report, and that report is not online.
Yeah.
It is physical gender-based violence or sexual harassment. But the one I can report online, this one is online, and you know that Nigerians trivialize things. If, for example, I call the helpline in Lagos, somebody insulted me online and throw it online. Do you know the person? No. So,
Can you get the person? Yes.
Can you to block the person that, So, but how can I get a platform where I would report the person and say, so person is trolling me online, or this person is insulting me online, and then I'll get feedback and actual response? How do I know?
So I get this question a lot because people usually speak to me about online gender-based violence, and if you check online, there are so many platforms where you can even reach out to people, even on Twitter and social media. So there's Kuram. People report. I've seen people report on Kuram and they've gotten like good responses. There's TechHer.
Sorry, you called it what?
Kuram. Yes, Kuram.
Okay. So what? I'll just go Google Kuram and
just Google Kuram.
Do you mind spelling that out for the audience?
Okay, KURAMNG.org.
So is it a worldwide thing or Nigerian?
Yes. That's a worldwide thing. I've directed people there to report, and they said the response is pretty good and pretty fast, and they've been able to get help from there. I also heard that they provide legal services for people who want to prosecute. And this is quite a huge deal for people who have encountered revenge porn and have not been able to get solutions to this kind of problem. So, so Kuram, TechHer, NG, and some other organizations I know also participate in speaking about OGBV and providing help or resources on how to counter OGBV.
Okay, I'd like to practicalize things. I've had situations, the one in the bracket. I've had situations where I've rescued someone. It's on my social media platform. I've rescued someone before who was sexually abused. And yes, and I read, I checked all the platforms online where I called, and practically they were unavailable.
Wow.
Yes. So I just noticed that a lot of people will just churn out these things and say, oh, you can go and report so. When you report one way or the other, you get redress. Do you have examples of people who have actually reported online based violence and have actually gotten the solution, that they've gotten somebody who said somebody insulted you online, somebody harassed you online with evidence, and then they really actually followed it up till the person got redress?
Okay. So one of the things that's very interesting about online gender-based violence, like you said earlier, is that people do not take it seriously. So people might not take trolling or cyber harassment seriously or cyberbullying seriously, but people have been able to take revenge porn seriously because it's actually more predominant than we think. Now, I have had a personal case where I referred someone to this website, and she told me that they had gotten legal services for her. She had spoken to the person. She got proper support and even resources from their website. The only issue was that because of the publicity of this case, when they decided to go to court, the publicity, she decided that she would like to handle this case out of court, and that is part of the issues, right? When people do not want to go the full mile, and we see this problem happen all the time. Even with SGBV response, most people do not prosecute, and we have a lot of issues of people not prosecuting rather. But as far as reporting and response is concerned, I've heard that they are pretty good and they are really solid when it comes to OGBV. And they are one of the few organizations that handle online gender-based violence and are able to get succinct response and even provide resources to the victims of these forms of violence. So I think they are pretty good.
Okay, so let's talk about the prevailing forms of online gender-based violence and how they have adapted into the tech space.
So one of the interesting things about technology is that we say there are very few women in technology, very few women in digital spaces. If you want to say something about a man, you can go to the internet and Google his digital profile, and to come out, you hear everything about that man. But for women, it's quite different. And women say, oh, I don't want to be online. I don't want to be on places like Twitter because it's too toxic, because so harmful things. Oh, they insult a lot of people there. Online spaces have been able to breed people who become digital monsters to other people because of the anonymity. The more people are unreachable because of social media, the more they can create fake profiles the more cyber harassment, cyberbullying increases. The more people can create several profiles using maybe one number, that the more revenge porn and sextortion increases.
Yes.
We get to see, we had when I was growing up, we used to hear about Yahoo 419. But now it has become a bigger thing.
Yes.
In places like Facebook, you can experience a lot of love scams because you see someone in Nigeria or someone in some remote country in India talking about falling in love with a woman in another Western country, collecting money from them, pretending, doing voice scams and all. Social media has helped these people to hide themselves. You see how this AI voice change. These are the issues. While technology improves or gets better to make our lives better, people use it to make other people's lives worse. So when the internet protects you and protects your information by not sharing your information to third party who do not have access to you, it also protects the person who is threatening to reveal a non-consensual intimate image of you to other people. So you see, it's a two-way thing. Internet is protecting you and your data. It's also protecting that person who is harassing you. So even if we wanted to say, oh, that guy is harassing me, Twitter, give me his details. Twitter will not give you his details because Twitter has privacy policies for these kind of things. So those kind of privacy policies that protect the perpetrators also protects the victims. So it's a two-way street. Internet is getting better, more accessible, more reachable, but people are now shrinking. Women mostly are shrinking, not participating, saying, oh, when I go online, it's the kind of terrible things they say. So women post less of their achievements because they will be questioned. Because the internet has given people the opportunity to go to somebody's comment section and say, prostitutes, and other terrible words about that does not dignify this person or the work.
How much
that
are you
they do.
earning that you're able to
That are
achieve
able to
that?
afford this
Yes.
yourself.
And if a man posts this, it's congratulations, more win, big win. Yes. But if a woman does, you say, you just have, especially a single woman.
Yes, you know,
if
I
she
remember
does.
when this
Especially
lady was
single.
dragged, this lady that runs this online
Linda.
blogger, Linda Ikeji, yes.
Yes.
She was dragged so much some time ago until they got tired and left her.
Yeah, single mother. What about the father that pregnant? You know, they would just
Exactly.
fight. Exactly.
And you see, this problem is pushing bad stereotypes about women online. There was this issue about Hakimi and Hakimi's wife.
Yes,
Did
I
you know that
remember
story
that.
was fake?
Yes. Are you
Oh,
serious?
you don't even know.
I didn't know.
But that story was fake.
You know the story, right?
Of course, you know, as I open up.
It's such a shocking story. It's a form of gendered misinformation where people stay and put dangerous stereotypes about women that makes women look bad and terrible. These stereotypes, you think that they are online, they will affect you in real life. People
Yes.
will parrot those terrible stereotypes they have listened to online, and I've heard this man say, oh, women only like money, oh, women are just very transactional. These transactional stereotypes are very dangerous because men will approach you in real life with that kind of idea, with that kind of mindset. We even saw the issue of Jada Pinkett. They said very horrible things about that woman, and she had to, when she wrote her book, how many people have read
They
the
won't
book?
read it, trust me.
How many people have read the book?
They
for them
won't
to
read
be
it for a
able to
million naira.
Learn, the truth about the things that she's been accused of. No, people rarely do that. But there's a serious cyber trolling against this woman, against the things that she says. But they don't know the truth. They just follow the trope of what is going on online. We need to be very conscious of the fact that women are the face of these forms of violence.
True.
A man can do whatever, burn down the entire country. Women will still be the face.
Yes.
We see the issue of corruption in Nigeria. For 1,000 corrupt in Nigeria, there's just 1 or 2 of our women who are corrupt. Whenever they mention corrupt women, they will bring up Minister of Petroleum. Exactly. So these forms of targeted harassment against women is something that we need to be very careful of, because as much as we think it's online, there are very physical consequences of these kinds of online tropes.
Yes, I don't want to mention a certain race, but 3 of us would all agree that there was a certain time, if you used to do Facebook, there was a certain time you open your inbox and you see a note. One certain race that is not Nigerian will send you nude.
You don't want to mention that?
I wouldn't want to mention.
That's okay.
Yes,
And
I don't want to mention that particular
So you
race.
have received one? Of course. I have received
yes.
one. So
you don't
I
need
just
to
want to
mention.
ask the only man in this room, have you ever received one?
No.
Exactly. So these are 3 people, 4 people rather, 3 women and 1 man. And 3 women have received someone's unsolicited sexual image.
Yes.
Just
They
like
just
that.
send it to your inbox. I don't know if they copy women and
And
just
there was
send
a
it.
time they used to do WhatsApp video calls for this thing.
Yes, it will
Oh
just
my
come.
God.
WhatsApp video calls or messenger.
Oh my goodness.
Yes,
Messenger.
messenger. They just call you a messenger.
And this is one of the reasons
And-
I left Facebook. I
Yes.
currently have not had Facebook in years. I think over 5 years I haven't had Facebook. Because I think that they were getting my WhatsApp number from my Facebook, and that was how they were able. Picking up the video call was something out of curiosity, like, someone from abroad is calling me, and I was quite young then. So someone from abroad is calling me, and you pick, and
then you just, yes, the person will just be nude.
Oh my God.
Yes.
It was
So I
such-
stopped Facebook for a while till that trend, till I think they were able to identify all those things and then put
And you
in.
see
Yes.
as the problems that people stop participating or stop using technology, the more the digital gender divide becomes wider. There are just 22% of women in the tech workforce. 22% of Nigerian women in the tech workforce. I read this in an article on International Women's Day. That's because the theme was about digital inclusion for women and girls, and it's quite terrible. As big as the tech workforce is, we just have 22% of that entire workforce being women. The more women are pushed out of digital spaces, the more women will be pushed out of forwarding or pioneering technological advancement. And this is a problem that we need to speak more about, because tech is the future, and if there are no women there, then what kind of future is that?
Okay, so I would want to interrupt to ask this question. This question is from Gab Esquire San here in Abuja. Kindly confirm that these advocacies for the female gender is applicable and for the male to create a same society. I have an answer to this, but I want you to answer. As in, I have a straight answer, but I want you to answer this first.
I find questions like this very interesting, and I also find them very questionable. It's very, very sad that male advocacy comes as a result of female advocacy. It's disappointing. If I say women are of so ages or social ranges are being harmed, and that is when you remember men, then are men truly priority to you? And that's a problem we need to look into. But yes, actually, these advocacy causes that helps to fight online gender-based violence are very open to all. And one of the reasons why we keep talking about women and girls, is because these issues mostly affect women and girls, the proportionate number. The example I gave about the people who had traveled to a conference had over 1,000 men on that list. But one woman was called a prostitute. One woman was consistently harassed and trolled and cyberbullied. And when these kind of things occur, we need to focus on who is being attacked and not generalize, because generalizing limits who we can focus our resources on. Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, so can I add to that before we just go to our last question, because we're running out of time. We had this conversation just yesterday where someone was saying that people always fight for women. I said, why won't you fight for somebody who speaks out? Women are more expressive.
Oh my God, yes.
Men are not.
That's so
Men
true.
are going through abuses. Men are going through a whole lot of what. Do you know men actually get raped?
Yes, they do.
Do you know there are some men that get beaten by their wives? Some of them resort to suicide instead of speaking out. So how do you fight for someone who doesn't speak out? So that's actually my answer to this question, because I know I've gone through a lot of advocacies and I know what I'm talking about.
That's a very, very great answer. But we need to check the root cause of the problem. Why do men not speak out? Because when a man speaks to a fellow man about his problem, a man holds his shoulder and say, "You be man. You be
Check
strong.
it, hold it in.
Swallow it." Your fellow man is repressing you from talking about issues that affect you. And we need men of this generation to break away from those kind of stereotypes. Men do not have to be strong all the time. It's okay for men to speak out about issues that affect them. Cry
and show expressions.
Women will cry. We'll roll on the floor.
Exactly.
Speak to our fellow women.
Yes.
And people would rally together and help. And the day men start to fight for men, beyond whenever you hear a woman talking about women's issues, you come and say, "What about men?" That is the day men's advocacy will be at the forefront.
Let me share something with you. This one happened last week. We went for an event. We're feeling hot. So as I was using my fan, I saw this man sweating profusely. Do you know I offered him a fan, this hand fan? He said, "No, I can't use it. I'm a man." I said, "But you are hot." He said, he said, "How do you want people to look at me?" I said, "But you need it." I have offered lip gloss to somebody before. I would not want to mention the person's name. His lips cracked because of this harmattan, and he said, "I can't use it." I say it's just for you. I say it's like chapstick. It will help you. He said, I can't use it. People. So do you understand? How do you fight for this kind of person? So let us just quickly round it up. We are far against time. For bystanders, let's talk about bystanders as people who don't really care. They don't. It takes a collective effort to be able to fight this situation, and you see people who don't care. So how do we address bystanders, or what do you have to say to bystanders so that
care? Care because it can be you. It can be yours. It can be your relative, and it's so shameful that I have to say it can be you or your relative because you actually have to show empathy to people whether you know them or not. If you see someone being trolled, report that particular post. I do that a lot. Immediately I see someone insulting someone, I'm reporting for harassment and bad language. I will report you, report the post, and report the entire thing, and I will block you, because if you can insult someone online, it can be me tomorrow. What is hard for you to say, look at that black girl? No. I preemptively report and I block. So that's something that we should also learn to do. We should not be silent bystanders. We should be active. We should block people and report people who platform bad language, harassment, trolling, cyber stalking. Someone can post revenge porn and people are saying, boss, I beg, DM me.
DM me, send them to me, yes.
So
send me full video. I have the full video.
And people follow me. No. We should please block and speak out against it. Tell people, it is wrong to actually request for this video. It is really bad. So shaming people actually works, and we should really try that.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, okay. So we'll be putting the lead on today's show. It has been just block, mute, exclude yourself from wherever. Report, of course, and then there are some pages that are toxic, naturally toxic. There was one popular page one certain time that it was saying your mother-in-law should sit in the front seat or not. I removed that page, very popular. We all know that page. I don't want to mention it. They call it something headquarters. I removed myself from it. I removed myself from a whole lot of pages because I want my sanity. So you can also do that for yourself. Then block a lot of people. Block or ignore. Don't respond. Don't feed the troll.
Exactly. Yes.
All right. Okay. So we thank Paul Owe, of course, for always giving us topics and resource persons, and he's a passionate driver for women. And we thank Ajadi Daniel. How are you doing? Okay. And of course Lance for the social media page, and also Jemima Iangudo.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show, and trust me, I'm not going to murder your name.
Zara Abdulkabir.
Yes, please permit me to take this one. This is from Wale Oguntokun from Lagos. It's always a usual. This topic is germane at the moment. The next best thing to do after reporting when you are being harassed online is to ignore, because responding to some of these harassment is a waste of time. Social media users should also stop exposing their private stuff online. Most time, those that harass you piece together all this information that you drop in pieces to eventually harm you. Thank you, Wale Oguntokun. Thank you all all for your contribution. And then for those who we cannot answer their we cannot read their messages, thank you so much. So it's Women Voices. Join us same time next week. We're making way for Marvelous on Radio. Thank you also, Marvelous on Radio, for the technical assistance. And my voice is sounding this way because I'm down with cold. I hope I won't be judged because I'm a woman.
I'll judge you. You enjoyed yourself
Make tea
over
for
the weekend.
me. Make tea
You
for
enjoyed
me.
yourself over the weekend. These are consequences.
Consequences, yes. All right, do have a pleasant day ahead. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. Are we done? Thank you so much.
You.
Thank you. That was